Antonio Tulian Meldanin, and thank you once again for joining me. My name is Lord Aramel, and here at the beginning of the video, I just wanted to quickly thank you all for your continued support, and to apologize for the brief hiatus that we were on. It's been a while since I recorded this. I've had the raw footage kicking around, but with the end of the semester, it's been difficult to record and actually do anything with this footage. But don't worry, the semester's almost over. We're in finals week now, and there's a lot of cool material coming, both for the Minecraft series and for anthropology with Aramel. So I hope you're looking forward to it, and here we have the finishing of our bar. And back to the Rickety Stool. Now, at this point, I wanted to create, once we finish these under areas, I wanted to create a bit more natural lighting. So here in a moment, I'll be carving out a couple of windows on the sides while planning for more areas up in the front, which you'll see also here pretty shortly, actually. It's kind of funny to see this recording because while I haven't been doing many videos recently, things have still progressed on the server. We now have a couple more people helping us build. Both Teru and Ashenra are on the server, as well as Venus. So you'll get to see everything that they've built. Yeah, probably in the next video. I could probably do an entire video just on all the changes that have happened since this one. But we'll see what can be done. Now, the creation of these windows helps to add a little bit of 3D, but looking back on it now, I feel like it's not quite adequate, and I was kind of playing around with that idea even now. So I may come back here either at a later point or, well, probably off camera, and add a little bit more decoration to the sides because it does start to look a little bland. It definitely has the big box effect, which we try to avoid. So we'll deal with that as much as we can here in the future. Now, to help break that up, at least on the inside, we have the multiple layer effect going on. And you can already see that a bit in the back, but we need to add a little bit of that in the front also. Wow. And I, as usual, try to empty out my inventory of unnecessary things, at least a little bit. I think from now on, I'll probably just try to have only a couple pouches in my inventory and just dump the rest in a chest, at least while building. That seems like it might be a rather necessary step for this. Now, I wanted to have a bit more verticality than what we already have. So adding a couple steps up while also... Oh, bloody bandit. At this point, I decided that a front door might be the best option. Now then, where was I? Oh yes, a few steps up, coming over to this, what will be a large platform, helps to give a bit of not only verticality, but also just playing around with angles, which is always a good time. Now, originally I envisioned these platforms as being separate rooms. And you can see here, once again, we have placed beams on top of pillars, making it look like they're resting upon them, which is architecturally sound, I guess. But yes, as I was saying, I originally envisioned them as almost separate rooms that one could go in to have more private conversations. But as I looked at it and as I played around with it, as you can see, there just isn't that much space. Unfortunately, we are restricted in some ways. So I had to make do with what we had at the time. Moving to the front, to help combat the aforementioned amount of just blockiness, I decided to add in a pair of balconies overlooking the front. Not only is this a nice aesthetic choice, but I feel like it's also almost a strategic point. If Nardu was under siege and the enemy was closing in on the castle, archers up here have this wonderful view of the road going to and from the castle itself. I'm not going to say that the Rikety Stool is the most defensive location, but if you're stuck in the bar, there are worse places to be, and there are worse fortifications to hold. So, give and take. I also, off-screen, added the second platform, which you see me running up and down now. At this point, I was experiencing so much lag that I actually went and downloaded Fastcraft soon after this, just to deal with it all. And it seems to have worked, so hopefully we won't have to deal with this annoyance anymore. Yes, and here I'm adding more windows, because of course natural lighting is very important, especially in a medieval setting. So the less torches you have to use, the less artificial lightings you have to use, the better. This is still sped up, right? Yeah. Wow. I'd forgotten how bad the lag has been. Yes, this is sped up too, which is perhaps the most disturbing part, is that generally I will have these videos at 3 times speed. So you can only imagine how rough it was at times. Now, the platforms are complete, more or less. The balconies need just a little bit of touching up. Decided some nice Lebarathon, what is it? Lebethron, whichever. Some Gondorian doors, one way or another, would serve quite nicely as kind of solid and dark. A nice counter to the birch wood all around, which is, of course, a very light wood. Now we come to what is perhaps the most annoying part of this entire build. It's the tiling. And I spent so much time going back and forth to this one NPC city in Penithgelen, which is a province of Gondor. I missed that jump. Because, of course, the NPC structures spawn in with a whole lot of this green tiling. I just spent so much time dismantling their roofs. Because you see, not only will this roof take a lot of materials, but as you can imagine, trying to make a sloped roof that drops all of, 2-3 blocks, excuse me, over the course of, 20 odd, it's a bit of a challenge. So here I actually haven't realized the issue yet, strangely enough, looking back on it. That should have been one of the first things that I thought of, but no, hindsight is 20/20. And is it here? Yeah, it's right about here that I realize the issue. So we're actually going to skip ahead. That's much better. We have a roof over our heads. Now just a bit of lighting. Speaking of lighting, we need a large fireplace because both Rikety and myself enjoy fire. And I haven't quite learned my lesson yet. So, here we're going to put in a nice central fire pit that's going to be just difficult enough to enter that no hobbits are going to wander in. But this time, I'm going to use Gondorian, what's it called? Gondorian beacon, that's it. Gondorian beacon blocks. Because while they have the appearance of fire, they don't actually catch other things on fire. So let's let the music play and finish up this bar. And here we return to our bar. As you can see, I left that block in there, and now it's just kind of in the fireplace, just to make sure that, it was true that Gondorian beacon blocks don't actually cause fire. Now here, we're doing a little bit of a clever trick to create a bar that you could, well, big quotation marks, a bar that you're storing things in, behind the counter, as it were. Now, quickly whipping up an extra crafting table. And that is an issue. But fear not. Luckily, this mod pack does have a plethora of different types of chests, which don't all form together. And as you can see, you're still able to access the chests underneath the bar. Now, I chose a nice mahogany wood for the bar, just because I know how much time Rikety has spent in real life very dutifully crafting. It's actually a really beautiful piece. And the different chests beneath the bar can serve a plethora of features, so it's always nice to have extra storage space. Now, like I said before, lighting is pretty critical, especially in places where enemies might spawn. So here we're getting rid of a lot of the torches that I'd placed down just as what's a good term? Placed down as precautionary, I guess. And instead, we're lighting it up with chandeliers. Now, I always suggest using, in Lord of the Rings Minecraft, chandeliers where appropriate. And in any other mod, I would suggest using mod-specific types of lighting, because torches are just done to death. And here we're adding a little bit of railing to the balconies while picking up a bunch of quests. Excuse me, ma'am. Thank you. All right. And that's largely the structure complete. Now it's just a matter of cleaning up and putting things away. Over on the left, we'll have barrels. Do a nice touch-up with a golden ale horn. Some ready-made drinks. Now, Rikety has informed me that we don't drink a lot of white wine in Nardu, but unfortunately, I had just gone to Dorwinion, which is where you get so much wine in this mod. So it's what I had on hand. Though in the next episode, we'll see that these things are supplemented quite handily by a variety of different alcohols available in this mod pack. Red wine, apparently, we do drink a little bit of, so that's good at least. So, if you're ever coming into the Rikety Stool for fine wining and dining, I'm afraid you might be a little, well, we don't have much wine. Let's start with that. Now, of course, every good bartender needs to have a handy dagger close by, just in case. There's always many uses for a nice sharp dagger. just like the many uses for all this dirt I'll find eventually, I'm sure. We'll see some of the changes that I make between episodes in the next one, I promise. And it'll look mostly the same, but nicer in its own regards. So, don't worry. We're not done with this build quite yet. Of course, there's quite a bit of decoration that can be done. There's no place to sit at the moment, for certain. Here we're stocking the snacks for the bar. A couple banners of Dorwinian, which will definitely help to advertise what we've got going on here. I figure it's time to make the actual sign. Once more, I'm not totally sold on this, but I think it works pretty nicely, all things said and done. It definitely gets the point across. You know, especially when we actually finish it. There we go. Couple item frames on the side. No question as to what is being done here. Boom. And for those who don't know the name of it, it is, of course, the Rikety Stool Bar. So it might be turning more tavern-esque in the future. This is definitely, at the moment, a bar, and we might see that shift more and more for food here in the future. Regardless, we have the red wine of Dorwinian, and at the bottom I put the potency. And then we'll have an extra barrel of white wine, just in case. Marvelous. There we go. And there we have it, folks. The Rikety Stool is now open for business. This was quite an interesting build. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, all things considered, even if a fair amount of it was a bit off the cuff, as it were. Quite a few of the design elements I came up with on the fly and just threw it together. But I think it looks pretty good overall. It definitely serves as a substantial bar. Feels good. Now, if you'll excuse me, I apparently have quite a few customers here, and Ricket is nowhere to be found. So I'm going to have to deal with all these patrons. So, with that in mind, thank you all, and farewell.